Hey, listen up. We got another episode of Wise Kracks, featuring the crack man himself, Bill Krackomberger, and our co-host, Jon Orlando, straight from Las Vegas. Wise Kracks is your ticket inside the world of sports betting, with tips, picks, special guests, and more. Only on WSN.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Wise Kracks. I'm Jon Orlando. I've got Mr. Bill Krackomberger with me as always. And Bill, what a man's weekend we just had. We had two really great championship games and the wild UFC fight on Fight Island. And we'll get into all that. But what were your thoughts on the weekend last week?
Yeah, no, this was a giant weekend. I was in the sports book, and I'm not a giant UFC fan, but I realize what Conor McGregor brings to the table. Everyone was excited. There was that Irish bravado pumped up throughout the sports book and throughout the industry, the sports betting industry. All these new jurisdictions, every one of these, like FanDuel, DraftKings, PointsBet, every one of them had boost or something extra on this fight. I even seen these, they pop up on my screen. And they were all giving like McGregor first round by first round knockout. I actually don't know the numbers, but instead of laying 2-1 or whatever, it was a boost giving you 50% less. It's only a $50 or $25 maximum bet, but there was boost all over every site. People were so excited for this. You had the two football games, giant weekend in the sports betting industry.
I think DraftKings, the promotion was $1 pays 271 because it was UFC 271 or UFC 276, whatever it was. And so they were just that when they do a promotion like that,
they're just giving you money.
They're just giving you money, and because they know they'll get it back, right?
Yes, I love those particular kind of places because unlike Las Vegas, where it's old school, old boy money here, those new jurisdictions with these, there's so much competition with these new sportsbooks popping up. They have to offer these kind of incentives. And trust me, it's never been better. I thought it was going to end. Here we are after PASPA, I think it was May of 2018. So here we are a couple of years later. I thought that was only going to be dangling the carrot, giving people extra money and bonuses, maybe for the first few months to get them used to it and get them in. Absolutely not. It's almost as good now, if not better, in certain jurisdictions than it's ever been bonus-wise. Michigan started sports betting last week. It's amazing what these books are giving out as far as bonuses in Michigan. I've seen as much as 25% cash bonuses. That's crazy. Never happened. So Michigan rolling out. Now we got Virginia rolling out sports betting. We have a nation full of gamblers that has been hiding, keeping it like in the closet quiet. It's a taboo-ish. Don't talk about this. And now it's out there. Every single sports betting, every single show has a gambling aspect to it. They're always talking about the point spread or, hey, that meant a lot of things for Las Vegas. It's out there now. It's over. And I just hope it's going to be done. The rollout here has happened. And I hope it's going to continue to be done responsibly. That's important to me. Very important that, kids underage aren't gambling and getting into this like I did when I was a kid. And then it's done in a responsible level with gaming checks and whatever it may be. And I know New Jersey has rolled out with a giant responsible gaming product where they want to make sure to see where your money comes from. They want to make sure that you're old enough, you can gamble, you can afford to lose. It's really interesting how different jurisdictions are doing it differently. So I hope other states and jurisdictions follow suit with what they've done in New Jersey.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's interesting because it's funny how gambling, specifically sports betting, well, I guess any gambling really gets that negative stigma to it. What is the difference between that and playing the stock market or day trading in the stock market? What's the same thing? If you can go on E-Trade and start playing, with stocks at the tip of your, fingers, what is the difference? It's the same thing, isn't it?
Well, if you could do it, and I guess I don't do stocks. I guess doing stuff on margin, isn't that the same thing as giving them credit?
Right.
No. All right. So I guess that is the parallels are definitely there then, because with Atlantic City and Vegas and all these different gambling jurisdictions, you can give them credit to gamble in the casino. And I tell you, the same people that are playing the stock market are the same people shooting craps at night and betting on a horse race or a sporting event. So you're right. It definitely draws the same parallels, like I said.
Yeah. Well, Bill, we've got a really exciting show today. We've got another incredible guest, more NFL royalty. I couldn't be happier to have this one on. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He played for the Chiefs. Obviously, they're in the Super Bowl coming up here pretty soon. And he played for the Raiders. I speak of the great number 32, Marcus Allen, is going to be on the show a little later.
Great job, John. Great job getting him, and looking forward to it. I mean, to think about the guests we've had on here, just the guests that you've brought on here, Warren Moon, the great Warren Moon, and then you've had Willie Gault and Rodney P. I mean, you've just great job. Good job.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So, we touched on the UFC. Let me take my lumps here, because I know, I think I guaranteed I need to learn your lessons, Bill.
You called me that night. Did you know that? You were driving from the casino or something. You called me up saying, "Oh man, I just bet on Conor on first round." You were all pumped.
I said, I just left the sports book. And
right.
Do you remember what you said to me? You said, "Oh boy, what square bet did you just make?"
Did I say that?
You did. Man. You did.
But I didn't know at the time that like 90% of the public was betting, McGregor. I knew it had to be a big percentage, but I see these numbers now. Sports books don't like to talk about their win.
Yeah.
This was one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest boxing / UFC nights ever in the history of fighting, in the history of sports books. They cleaned up on this fight. I'm actually, now that I think about it, I'm actually glad when the sports books win. I'm upset that you lost, but I'm glad when they win, because that makes me take the little nuggets out of them, and the little hits I give them doesn't hurt as much.
Yeah. Well, I was convinced Conor by round 1, maybe round 2. So obviously it didn't work out that way. Hats off to Dustin Poirier. I did end up okay though on it, because on the co-main event, I took Michael Chandler, who was the Bellator champ, a different organization. He just made his UFC debut this past Saturday night, and he was fighting Dan Hooker, who is a monster in his own right. And Chandler was, I think, plus 130 dog. So I had him. So I ended up okay. But kind of ironic that I would get the UFC picks wrong, which is like my biggest passion, but I got football right last week with the Chiefs and Tom Brady. I know the Packers let you down, but it's not your fault. I think you were supposed to win that, and the Packers just committed pilot error against you.
Yeah, but it's NFL. Any given Sunday, like I said, and just like I said it on a couple different shows. I said it across many platforms last week. I think I said it on 3 or 4 interviews that I liked Green Bay. It was only the second game of the year. The first one was the Rams over the Seahawks, and then the second one was, of course, Green Bay. But no, I'm not saying, they should have definitely won, but I mean, they really made some bonehead errors. So some of the coaching staff should be fired immediately. I mean, how that last touchdown before the end of the first half, how do you let someone go one-on-one and burn you with 6 seconds on the clock with Brady behind the arm of Brady? So really, like I said, bonehead's even a nice word. It's a nicer word than I would use. And anyway, it happens. And people that I kind of, I have thin skin sometimes. I hate giving plays out on media, one play, anything, because people want to judge you by that and say things. It's kind of funny. I got some couple responses on Twitter, really cracked me up, that I took food off the table for their wife and kids. I kind of laugh at that, because my whole life is based on bankroll management and, I even made the point to say I'll have more on a college basketball game than I'll have on the Packers this week. But, people love NFL. They love to bet the big game, wherever they feel they have almost a compelling need to be there with everyone else, on an NFL game. It happens. So it's something that I have to deal with. It's funny, going into Sunday for the week, I was having unbelievable. I was 15-3-1 with crack wins, guys. Going into that game, I had an unbelievable college basketball week, but yet No one ever says, "Hey, keep it up, great week." I mean, even the year or the month or going back to we're up 200 units since a year and a half. No one says that. It's just that one game, Green Bay. You killed me,
Right.
But anyway, you learn from things. So
yeah, it's crazy. I can imagine how that would get under your skin because. To judge, I off camera, I was saying it would be like having that attitude, like when they send you a DM like that, it would be like benching Barry Bonds because he went 0 for 3 on opening day.
Right.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's such a silly way to look at it, Let me ask you this. Do you Tom Brady is going to be going to his 10th Super Bowl in, I think, 19 years or something crazy.
Yeah.
Does that excite you as a I know you don't always watch the games and stuff, but do you like those kind of storylines where
look at this? This is the ideal dream Super Bowl for the networks, media, advertisers. I mean, everyone. Here you have the great legendary, the GOAT of all time, Tom Brady, going against Mahomes, the new bred guy, won the Super Bowl last year. He looks like
Tampa.
In Tampa. Looks like he might have been hurt and not even playing. And he has a great game last week against tough Bills team, a very good Bills team. And it's the ideal scenario, dream scenario. So listen, I think it's going to be a great game. I'm not betting anything on the side. I'll root for my props and maybe a little bit for the total. But, we got to remember something, John, too. I was going to save this for next week's show. I'm so spontaneous, though. You got to remember these last Super Bowls. So if you look at all those Super Bowls and you look at the scores, I've seen some really high totals. And, that the public knows that. So that makes me want to look at the under on a lot of things. Look at last year's Super Bowl. I don't know if it was until late in the third quarter, I believe, that Mahomes really didn't turn on. Even though he was the MVP on the game, he earned that late in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, actually, is when he earned it. Yeah. And, so maybe a little bit of they get a little bit nervous earlier. And I'm not going to say nervous for the first guys. And I'm not saying that Mahomes was nervous. I'm just saying he didn't really turn it on or didn't, it could have been a little bit of a deer in the headlights at the beginning. He probably learned from that game. So this should be interesting. I'm going to wait until, props open up here this week in Vegas. And I'm probably not going to be betting too much early. My betting is going to be mostly late, going against public and going against guys like Mahomes and Brady, sorry to say. Now, not as much as I won't go passing yards or that kind of stuff under because that can fluctuate with one big pass. We've seen that all the time. But I definitely have some anti-public plays that I'm going to talk about next week. If I get to make some of them before we start filming, I'll talk about some of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously my condolences, your Bills future bet, which would have been so incredible. Obviously the Bills fell short to Kansas City. When you lose that game, like, I feel like you take the lot, like it's not a big deal to you, right? Like, obviously you would love to win the 20 grand or whatever, but you just move on because you just focus on the body of work, like we were talking earlier, right?
Yeah, I bet that future at the beginning of the year at the Westgate, 1,000 to win 20,000 on the Bills just to make it to the Super Bowl. And I didn't hedge. I'm not really a hedger. Maybe a bigger amount of money. Well, it's all relative. So, I didn't hedge that particular game, but I was betting some stuff back and forth a little bit during the game, a little bit of live wagering, which I normally don't do, but I'll do it during commercials on big games like this. Actually made a few bucks on that. I never think about, well, you need the Bills to win, so put that in the equation of making these bets live. I actually won a few bucks on when they were down 9-0. Bills were up 9-0. I bet Kansas City, and I bet them a couple times during the game. So I made a couple grand there. But again, I didn't do that with the intent on middling or hedging. But yeah, so it was okay. The game was good for me. Unders. I usually like betting unders on a lot of props, and maybe I don't know. Really Sunday night, I think we actually lost a unit on props on that game, but the earlier game was good on props. So yeah, it's all, listen, it doesn't matter to me. I want to win, but it doesn't affect me winning or losing. So when I lose, it's not going to affect me where I feel, oh, all right, how do I get that money back and get out for the day? That's the number one reason why these factories are I call them factories, these giant casinos down the road from me, are built. Everyone just wants to get even.
Chasing.
John, they just want to get even for the day. Just let me get even. How many people have prayed to God, which you're not supposed to do, but you prayed to God that let me just get even, God, and I'll get out of here.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why these places are those monstrosities are there. So,
and isn't it funny that, I mean, I don't know what the percentage is that end up in that boat. I mean, it's got to be in the 90s, right? That are just trying to get back to even. And it's such an interesting thing. It's like, how do we all end up in that same boat where, you know,
it's human nature. Honestly, it's human nature. And guess what? That's right. Bill Krackomberger is going to admit this because I always tell the truth. I've been there. Oh, definitely. I've had sessions. I had a losing $30,000 session at the Wynn a couple of years back on video poker, I remember. And I got home, I was mad at myself. I said, all I had to lose was, you know, I was playing. I had a deal where I had to put so much money through the machine. So I had to put $250,000 cycle through the machine. And I ran so bad. You have to hit royals. So I didn't hit any royals. So I actually overbet. Instead of losing a 20 grand, which I should have lost for that session, I went for another 10 grand. It happens. I understand it, but it didn't affect my life though. It didn't, you know, I could have, luckily I could afford the 10,000, not going to make a difference to me. But I know that even when I was younger in high school, I was a terrible gambler when I was, and this is going to sound funny probably to you, John. When I was 13, 14, 15, 16, taking a bus to Monmouth Park and gambling and I always earned a lot of money. Even as a kid, I worked on a boardwalk in Jersey Shore. I earned a lot of money. And when I say a lot of money, I was earning $200, $300 a day back in the 80s. And back in the 80s, I, working the Carney games, skill games. So I would take that money and blow it at the racetrack like a stone cold sucker. So it took someone to shake me and show me what the promised land was. 10 years later. And I haven't reverted back to that. Thank God.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So there was a day when you did bet the horses.
Oh, of course. I grew up. I grew up around Monmouth Park. My father and my Italian uncles, who all, by the way, totally poisoned my father. They all took my father to the racetrack. My father was like a country boy, I met my mother, Italian from the Bronx, and her brothers and stepbrothers. They totally poisoned my father. My father wasn't even a gambler. I mean, he went to the racetrack. He started playing lottery. I mean, I did the same things. I'll throw $10 on a lottery now, but it has to be like 200 million or more. That sounds so dumb. Like 10 million wouldn't be great.
Right.
But I mean, I'll do that, but I don't think, I just think it's a sucker game. I never knew the racetrack. I never knew that betting horses was a 25% house edge. I never knew. I just go, put $50 to win on a horse. I don't realize that the house is taking out 20%, 25%, depending on what type of bet, out of the pool. And keeping it for themselves, compared to sports betting, which is a 4.5% hold, compared to video poker or basic strategy blackjack, which can be a 0.5% hold. So I never realized the difference between all three until I got older. And I refuse to be a sucker now. I refuse to be that person that goes into the casino and overbets and goes crazy until they have no more money, until their credit cards and their Mac cards are, tapped out. I refuse to be that person. I'm not doing that again. I'm not, I'm not. And listen, I know it happens. It happens to some of my best friends. That reminds me, and it's going to embarrass them a little bit, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So I got one of my guys around me, and he, of course, is listening to me on certain things, but he has to bet his own stuff no matter what, because he needs that pat on the back. So here I am having an unbelievable 65% season in college basketball, which has to revert to the mean a little bit sooner or later. And here I noticed he's betting like the Dukes of the world and stuff and the big name teams. And I'm overhearing him and rooting for games. And I had to ask him, this is just last week. I said, what's up? You got Duke? He said, yeah, I bet Duke. I think they're the better team. I gave you like 5 plays. And it doesn't matter if I go 0-5, but I gave you 5 plays. And when I give you the plays, I tell you to bet them for yourself. And he only bets 100, 200, 300 a game. And I tell you to bet them, and I give them to you and tell you to bet them now because they're going to move. Every one of my games move a point and a half. And here you are betting sucker games still because you like Duke and you like the Lakers. By the way, that you bet the Lakers over just to bet. Oh, it's the last game on the board. It's a nighttime West Coast game. Lakers over. Lakers and over. I get so upset, but you know what? You can't change who you are sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Words of wisdom from the Crack Man. Well, listen, next week, our special Super Bowl show, we'll have some predictions, and Crack is going to teach you a thing or two about betting on Super Bowl props. So be sure to tune in next week. And before you do all of that, make sure you head over to WSN.com. If you're a true sports fan and a degen gambler like myself, I've got to tell you, I do it every week now that the Crack Man turned me onto it. Hit up WSN.com. This is the site for you guys. Bill's on there every single day before he bets. There's promos, bonuses, and all kinds of great strategy guides, info on the different state betting laws. WSN has an updated, Bill, this is new. It used to be just 200. They have upped the ante. The NFL Pick'em contest is you can win a $500 gift card, Amazon gift card as the prize. So to win, a player must select the point margin of the winning team by halftime, and then the team that will win the full game and by what point margin. So head over to WSN.com for sure.
Hey, that's a great, how can anybody not want to take a shot picking the score of a game and the margin of a game to win $500 free? Let's call it what it is too. I know it's an Amazon gift card. It's basically cash.
Right.
Everyone shops at Amazon. It's that simple. So, anyway, so yeah, that's a great promo. And one of the really cool things I like about doing this show is I get to promote a site that I use for my work every day. I read WSN, the articles. It's a gold mine for advantage gamblers and regular guys alike, you guys that want to be advantage gamblers. It's got everything, the articles, the links, the promos. That's what I love, the promos for the online sports book. Some of these bonus money they've been running, like I told you, is totally, totally ridiculous. And they have bonuses there that I've never seen anywhere else. So certain places like William Hill, they have a certain bonus there that I don't see, anywhere else advertised. So, listen, if you haven't already, go to WSN and WSN.com and check it out.
For sure. And also, when you're done doing that, make sure you go over to Crack Wins and download the app, or go to crackwins.com. All those bettors over there, they are still building their bankroll with you, Crack. College basketball went 11-4 last week, and you are at 73-49 for the season, which is just a shabby 66% you're hitting. This is insane. This is insane. And obviously, there's a ton of Super Bowl prop bets over there. So make sure that you join the Crack Wins app or go to crackwins.com. And it's not just football. Remember, guys, we've got plenty of NBA coming up, golf. Sign up is free. You get a free play for the month, and then you can upgrade to one of Billy's tiered plans depending on how often you bet. So make sure you head over to Crack Wins. Download the app. It's on Google, it's on Apple, or go to crackwins.com.
Yeah, that when you said there, true. I said we were 15-3 last week, and we were 15-3 at one point. That's everything combined, not just college basketball. So you are correct there. Right. When you're gonna give you numbers. Having an unbelievable season again. This reminds me of a season we had a couple of years ago. We were just on a tear. We went 18-2 on a 20-game span at one time. So we're having that type of season this year, and I look forward to it continuing and up until March Madness, and then we get into baseball. And I take a little break, get to go down to some hot weather. I'm looking forward to it's cold in Vegas. It's cold in New Jersey. I am looking forward to get some sunshine and get down to Florida. So we'll see what happens here.
Will there be a Bahamas trip in your life anytime?
Yeah, maybe.
Soon?
Oh, yeah. I have great connect. John.
I know. I want to go.
You and your girl, welcome. I'll hook you up for free. We go right down to Baha Mar. I got a great connection. You'll have a nice room for you and your girl. Beach time every day. And, it's absolutely fantastic down there. And I look forward to going. You know what? I think that's what I'm going to be doing. Definitely. So hopefully you could join me down there.
I am in 100%. I am in. Yeah.
Cool.
That would be great. So Bill, it's that time now where we got to go to our guest segment for the week. And as you know, we've got a whopper. We sat down with Marcus Allen a little earlier today, and here's how it went. All right, Crack. Well, as you know, last couple weeks ago on Wise Kracks, we had a USC great in the name of Rodney Peete join us. And now today we've got USC royalty joining us. I'll tease it a little bit here, Crack. After he won the Heisman Trophy, he went and played for the Raiders. He was a first-round pick for the Raiders in the 82 draft, and he played there for 11 seasons. And then he played over in Kansas City for those Chiefs that are going to be in the Super Bowl this next week. And, I can go on and on about him. He's the one thing that I think he's not one to brag, so I'll brag for him. He is the only player that has, he's won the Super Bowl with the Raiders. Obviously, he was a Super Bowl MVP, but he's the only player that's ever won the Heisman, the NC2A National Championship, the Super Bowl, and be named NFL MVP and Super Bowl MVP, College Football Hall of Famer, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I speak of the great Marcus Allen.
What's up, John?
How's that?
Awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you should go into PR too. Well, I mean, Double is a PR guy too. So
right.
Yeah.
So, Marcus, I want to get right into football because a lot of controversy happened on Brady's road to get to the Super Bowl in that Packer game. 4th and goal. They're on the 8-yard line with 2 minutes left, 3 timeouts, and Green Bay kicks a field goal. Are they crazy for doing that?
Well, probably yes. Because their defense really hasn't stopped Tampa all day, so they might as well put up 7. And then obviously, if they're able to score, then coming down really on a short field to get 3 is a lot easier than coming down trying to get 7. So, listen here, I guess coaches make decisions all the time, and I guess you have to live with them. But I was shocked, honestly. I thought Green Bay was going to run away with that game before it even started. I just thought that in Lambeau Field, in Green Bay, obviously them playing well. I thought they had all the momentum in the world, and Tampa, I think, surprised everybody.
And let me ask you this. Is there a quarterback in the league that would have said, no, I'm not doing that. We're going for it? Would anyone go? I mean, would Joe Montana have kicked that field goal?
Well, to be honest with you, most great players are really defiant anyway. We don't really sort of agree with the majority of the things the coaches do. So I'm sure we like to go for everything. I think great players want to go for everything. They feel they have that much confidence in themselves and their team. So, we disagree with coaching staff all the time, but sometimes we need to be, pulled back just a little. In that situation, I think I would have liked to have gone for it. And just because you believe in yourself and you know that, hey, even though you failed on 3 attempts, you can get it on 4.
Cool. Hey, Marcus, let me tell you something. We interviewed the great Willie Gault a few weeks ago. I said something to him, and I'm going to have to say it to you, too.
My man, Willie.
You guys don't age. How can it be possible? No, I mean, we've had a lot of great NFL legends. You and him, how come you guys look exactly like you looked 25 years ago? What's going on? You guys look great.
Well, I know why Willie doesn't age, because he doesn't eat.
Oh.
Or he eats very little. Now, I eat a lot more junk than Willie. I mean, anytime you're around him, guys, he does not, if you say one in the candy or anything like that, he just says, no, man. I'm going like, man, this guy's, he's got some willpower, because maybe you mentioned sugar, I'm all over it. You know what I mean?
Wow. So, but it doesn't.
I can just thank my mom and dad for that, man. That's what I.
Oh, good genes.
Lucky genes.
Me. Well, so Marcus, so many fans remember you as Raiders, Super Bowl, NFL MVP, and so many iconic moments. But you really had a hell of a second act with the Chiefs. You led the AFC in touchdowns your first year with the Chiefs and went on to the AFC Championship game with Joe Montana. you led the team in rushing every year, but you're last. I'm sure you can relate to Tom Brady's situation a little bit. You spend a decade with one team, start hearing, some doubts, and move on to another team, and you succeed like himself, like him, like he did. So tell us about that. What is that like for an icon to change franchises later in their career?
Well, it's just all about being wanted, just to realize that somebody wants you there as opposed to somebody who doesn't want you there. You know what I mean? And for a great athlete like Tom and for me, that's all I needed to hear. And I was, I still had obviously a lot of tank in the gas, or rather gas in the tank. And I felt like, I just needed to be in the right spot. And, Marty Schottenheimer called me every single day, and I really appreciated that. But, when they got Joe Montana, obviously, I started to take greater interest in the Chiefs and stuff. And then everything just came together. But the fact is that a coach that calls you every single day, without fail, and tells you how badly he wants you. And then one of the other things they threw in as well is that they went from artificial turf to grass, right? Because I love playing on that. So they made a lot of changes in order to get us there. So, but again, it's like, they wanted me there, and they wanted to let me play, and that's all they ever wanted. So
great. So you had motivation to almost
and I'm
feel
sure
people were wrong, prove people were wrong too. Great.
Well, I'm sure Tom felt the same way after all those years, and now it's they're going to go in another direction, and you go, wait a second, man, I can still play, I can still take you to the promised land, and you're going to let me go? Well, let me go someplace else. Who wants me? And obviously Tampa, I think, out of all the teams, I think that was a big surprise going to Tampa, but obviously everything played out perfectly for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. They're in the Super Bowl.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Marcus, I think you've known me long enough to know that the Cowboys, were my number one team. But I don't know if you can see this beanie right here. I divorced the Cowboys mid-season, I'd like you to know, and I am now 100% on the Raider train. How about that?
Well, John, I hope so. You're living in Las Vegas, man. You cannot be pulling for the Cowboys living in Las Vegas. And obviously, the Raiders, they have some work to do. But I think, as Al Davis used to say, the future of the Raiders is bright, and it's I think it's going to be great. Especially with the new stadium and not having fans there this year. But I mean, I can only anticipate what's going to happen in the future. I mean, it's going to get crazy there. And I think they have the team. They're young. They're headed in the right direction. They still need some pieces, I think, defensively. You would be crazy to continue to support the Cowboys when you have the Raiders in your own hometown.
Agreed. I've made the switch.
And especially, listen here. All the potential interviews you have there, and you're going to offend them by being a Cowboy fan? How could you do that, dude?
I'm out. They're divorced. They're divorced. But the crazy thing is, I announced the divorce on this show, and the Cowboys went on to win 4 straight, and the Raiders dropped 4 straight. Am I cursed? I don't know.
No, I don't know if you're cursed, man. I don't think you had anything to do with that. So, what about community property in the divorce? Did you get anything?
I got nothing but an Aikman jersey that's hanging up in the closet. That's all I got.
Is that all you got? You didn't get any helmets? And
no, I got no helmets. The only helmet I need is this. I don't know if the camera can see that. That's signed from Marcus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
hey,
love it.
Well, that was that was a great assist I just gave you. I set you up for that, right?
That was nice. That was nice.
Hey, Marcus, my final question for you. From the outside looking in, the Chiefs have always seemed like a first-class organization. They always seem to be right there, but they just couldn't get over the hump. Now that they found Andy Reid and, of course, the great Patrick Mahomes, that first-class organization is mixed with first-class talent on the field. So we'll see what's happening here. I'd love to hear your thoughts, though, on the Chiefs, the dynasty they've started, what you feel, seeing them have so much success. What's your opinion on that? What do you feel?
Well, when you say they seem like a great organization, no, they are a great organization. They were always a first-class organization, and that starts with Lamar Hunt. just an amazing man, owner. Obviously, he's passed away, and I certainly wish that he could have experienced last year's Super Bowl.
Yep.
And it's amazing. It was 50 years earlier, I think, right? When I think they played the Packers. Is that what it was?
50 years ago, you mean?
Yeah. When they won it, I think it was against the Minnesota Vikings, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can look it up.
That's what I think that's what it was. It was some sort of numbers that sort of lined up and everything that the Chiefs were there. And I think last time they won one, I think it was against the Minnesota Vikings. So, it's just a great organization. And now they have obviously all the pieces. I mean, they got speed on an incredible amount of speed on offense. They can run the ball, and obviously they got an all-pro tight end. They got obviously an all-pro wide receiver who scares people to death. And then you got a quarterback who's just absolutely amazing. I mean, can throw the ball from any angle, whether it's underhanded, sidearm, and over the top. I mean, just and plays fearlessly. And then they get a good defense. They come together at the right time. So, I mean, my hat's off to them. Sure. After spending 5 years there, and the fan base is just they just love their team and how much they support the team and stuff. So to see all that come to fruition, and then obviously now they're actually going back. It's just it's a tribute to the organization, the players, and the fans in the city.
And you are correct. The Kansas City beat Minnesota 23-7 in Super Bowl IV in New Orleans. Good job.
Well, I remember that because there was an SC running back that scored a touchdown, and his name was Mike Garrett, right? I think it was a trap play up the middle. So, yes, sir.
Good man.
SC guys have a hand in all
Oh,
the
yeah.
Super Bowls,
Good job.
so maybe Ronald Jones this year. We'll find out.
Sure.
Yeah. So speaking of the Super Bowl, I want to put you on the spot since we're a sports betting show here, Marcus. If you were a betting man, would you bet on Mahomes repeating or Brady pulling off this fairy tale storybook switching teams?
God, that's a lot of pressure you're putting on me, man.
Who would you go with?
I got to go for the Chiefs, dude. I can't. As much as I certainly appreciate the year that the Buccaneers have had, and again, I love to see Ronald Jones, another Trojan come away with the ring. Kansas City is going to be tough to beat, man. They're explosive, and I don't know if it's Eric Bieniemy who calls the plays, or it's Andy Reid, or it's a combination of both of those guys. I mean, they've done just a phenomenal job. But that quarterback, I mean, honestly, you may see, one of the greatest, and then a quarterback who may overtake all of them, and Patrick Mahomes. Now, you're actually seeing the torch being passed, but they're both in the Super Bowl. But I mean, Brady's certainly going to hand it off to Patrick Mahomes. So it's going to be, I think, a great game. Unfortunately, this is going to be the weirdest Super Bowl of all time. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, no family, like I don't know how many, like 15,000 fans maximum or something like that. It's going to be nuts. So
now, are you going to go?
This is going to be my first Super Bowl that I'll miss.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. So we'll find out what happens, but I think there's supposed to be a lot of first responders that are going to be in the stands.
Yes.
And stuff. So,
yep. 7,500.
I think that's great. Yeah, I think that's great. Obviously, then they're always going to sell suites, so there's going to be those will be full and stuff. But just to I talked to the league, and it's funny, they're going to have like cutouts of certain players in the stand.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so
you're going to be one of them, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm going to try to find and identify my cutout somewhere.
So you will be there.
Yeah. Well, I guess, in cardboard form, yeah.
Yes. Well, listen, Marcus, I have so many incredible memories when I hear your name, from being in Cabo doing the charity golf tournament and helping you through the years on your own charity event over at Lucky Strike Bowling Alley. And you've always been so good to me, and you never let me down, even when I stalk you.
John, you're good people, man.
Thank you, man.
People, and that's the bottom line, man. And I think all good people are like synchronized swimmers, man. We want to do good things and we want to have fun doing it. And I know one guy that has a lot of fun at what he does, and that's you. So
thank you so much.
Thanks. It's been a privilege and an honor. And listen, come out here and join us in Vegas when it warms up. We have great connections. We'll put you up in a suite or something here. So if you could sneak away when it warms up, we're ready for you.
Well, I don't have to sneak away. I can just sort of come.
Good.
Down.
Yeah.
I tried to get him to move here, Crack. I tried to get him to move here, but he's got 4,000 acres.
I'm a farm boy, man. I was, my dad is from Texas. My mother was from New Orleans. And just because I grew up in San Diego, man, you couldn't really sort of, I'm not really a city boy, but I guess I can actually be both, but I prefer actually peace and quiet and stuff. So
do you have like a farm over there? Do you have like a lot of land where you're at? Like are there any kind of animals out there or anything?
It's that. That's a long story. We had some animals.
Oh,
that's a long story.
Okay.
But we have some acreage out here, and cool. But it's nice. It's beautiful. It's peaceful and it's quiet, and that's I try to keep it simple. And Vegas is a place to go travel to, have a good time, and then come home to peace and quiet. So
that's right.
All right. Well, go enjoy your peace and quiet, and thank you for stopping by Wise Kracks today.
Thank you, Marcus.
Now I can tell the carpenters to get back to work.
Yes, for sure. Hammer away.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
You got it.
Thank you. Marcus Allen, what a legend, huh, Crack?
Man, listen, that was fantastic. It's so great that these guys take their time out of their day to give us a couple moments and reflect on their careers and maybe even give us a pick or two or what they feel about the current situation with the NFL or whatever it may be. Great job.
And so next week, obviously, we before we wrap up here, and we're going to get to it, we've got one Twitter question from someone we both know very well. But before we get to that, let's just do a little more hype on our Super Bowl show next week and tease the people a little bit. Crack. Let me tell you this: I'm on the fence. So I've said Chiefs are going to repeat. And now I think this is what's happened to me, Crack. My heart is getting involved, and I want Tom Brady to go from the Patriots to Tampa. And in the first season, he does that. He gets them to the Super Bowl in Tampa, and he wins the game. I kind of want that storyline, even though I said Chiefs win it all next week. What do I do? What do I do?
Well, there's nothing wrong with not having a bet on this game. To be honest with you, it's funny as we speak here, I am going to, I put a couple bucks on on Kansas City when the line first came out, thinking I was a little bit of a wise guy here. And as you could probably see there, the South Point now has 3.5. And I'm going to give you a live bet here, John, if they take it, which I think they will. I am going to get off my bet, as you see. One of the problem with these apps, acquiring location. So I'm trying to make a $5,000 bet here, $5,000 bet, and they're just acquiring. But that's one of the problems with some of the software in town here. But I'm getting off my original bet. I didn't even mention that I had this bet. Getting off my original bet, thinking that I don't know why. I guess I had a square moment where I thought that Kansas City, everyone betting that game fresh. I'm thinking, try to put myself in the public eye. So at the time, Kansas City is the last game on TV. Everyone's betting Kansas City. Everyone's saying, oh, they're going to kill him in the Super Bowl. Not thinking about Brady and his legendary thing. And there it is, $5,000. I just got off my bet.
Wow.
So I'm kind of even to the Super Bowl now. There's $5,000. So if it lands on 3, we'll be talking about that after the Super Bowl. Yeah, I just bet it with the intent maybe it goes to 4. Nice to have it 3 and 4 in the Super Bowl, right? And we'll see what happens. But yeah, so Awesome. Do you have a question for me before we close here?
I do. Actually, one quick thing before I get to that. They did Major League Baseball Hall of Fame betting. Yeah, betting. Listen to me. See, I'm so.
We're betting, man. That's all we think.
I can't get the word. Hall of Fame voting.
Right.
I believe this is the first year. I might be wrong, so don't jump down my throat, guys, on Twitter if I am wrong. I believe this is the first year no one gets inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. They've left off Barry Bonds again, Curt Schilling, and Roger Clemens. I think Curt Schilling because he may have said some things publicly political that people didn't agree with. Let's table Schilling for a second. Okay. I'm curious what your thoughts are on Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. Barry Bonds, technically was never caught doing steroids, but all roads lead to steroids. Roger Clemens, when I say caught, Barry never tested positive for it, but seems to be a lot of evidence saying that, he did do it. Whatever. Roger Clemens has tested positive, but does that matter in your eyes, Crack? For me, I feel like the playing field was level. Like, yes, maybe Roger Clemens tested positive, but there's plenty of players that were on steroids that just never got tested or never tested positive because they're not necessarily a target like Clemens.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that? I'm curious what your thoughts are.
It's a great subject. It's a great subject. I never ever commented on this subject, but I want to tell you right now, if anyone that's controversial should be allowed in that Hall of Fame, you bet your ass it has to be Pete Rose.
100%.
Pete Rose has to be in the. Let me just tell you something. Off the field, I know some Pete stories that I don't care for. I'm not going to judge him as a man. To get him into the Hall of Fame, though, is a total different thing. The guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Look at his numbers. This wasn't a performance-enhancing situation.
No.
This was something that we're getting. Now, look at gambling now. Everyone talks about it. The NFL all of a sudden is so accepting of it because they're getting some money. They're getting some scuttle. So of course, now everything's fine. Fine and dandy now to have DraftKings and FanDuel and all these places. You look at these places now that are in bed with these sportsbook companies and now you're still not allowing Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. So he needs to get in first, and then we'll work on these other guys. But yes, look at Roger Clemens. All the years he didn't do steroids, this guy was a Hall of Famer. So, and the same can go for a lot of those guys that aren't in the Hall of Fame. So that are being banned because of the steroids, like Bonds, and maybe even Schilling. Look at Schilling's career, of course. So what do they do off the field? And listen, there has to be some kind of penalty. The penalty was the embarrassment, the ridicule over the years, being shunned, losing sponsors and endorsements. What are you going to do? I mean, sooner or later, you got to let these guys in the Hall of Fame. Look at the things that is going on now in our climate and in our culture. Give me a break.
I totally agree. Okay, Crack. Let's go to our Twitter question of the week. This comes from the great @Ellenberger MMA, our good friend Jake Ellenberger. He wants to know. He says, "Ask Crack, when is a good time to buy points or teaser?"
Okay, a good time. Well, the teaser, what I always do in the NFL. Not that I always do, but if I recommend a teaser, it's going to be through the key numbers of 7 and 3. I've been talking about this for 20 years. These guys have only been talking about this for the last, decade or 5 years, whatever it may be, publicly. So I may have spilled the beans on this, and unfortunately, I may have even cost myself money by doing this. And I hate to think about that, but I look what these shakedown bookmakers are now charging for teaser prices. I used to lay $1.10 on a 7-point teaser, $1.15, $1.20. Okay, no problem. Then it went to $1.30. I still accepted it. Now these places are charging $1.40. I won't accept it. I won't bet where it's $1.40. Guess what? Some of these brick and mortars are charging $1.60 now. I mean, why not just use a mask and gun? It's ridiculous. You just want to rob us. You can't beat $1.60 teaser with the best of the lines going through the key numbers. So my ideal situation is to tease a 9.5-point favorite down through the key numbers of 7, 3 to right to the 2.5, right under the 3. Having that with two teams, especially two home teams, is almost basic strategy, a winning combination. But again, you have to lay the right price on the juice. Now, going back to buying points. Buying points isn't what it used to be. Years ago, it was always great to buy to the 3 and buy to the 7 in the NFL, and I'll even buy to the 7 in college football. But now the sports books are all aware of the 3 being the number one number, so that comes out when it's line 3. More games that are line 3 hits 3 than any other number. So they charge a lot more juice than they should on the 3. So you have to make sure that you're not laying more than $1.25 altogether. By the way, 15 cents more. I wouldn't lay that. Maybe $1.30, but I hate even laying that. But I do once in a while, especially if it's a low total. So not going to use the Super Bowl because it's total 56.5. But I'll use a game that's totaled 43 or something, 40. The lower the total is, the lower the game should play to the number. So I'll look to buy in those situations. But then again, with the field goal, I'm sorry, not the field goal, the extra point now, it's basically being a field goal. They moved it back so much. You see all these extra points being missed too. So a lot of times these games don't fall on these key numbers. So I'm not as big as like I used to be on buying numbers. So there you go, Jake. The great Jake Ellenberger, part of our show once again.
I love it. I love it. Well, everybody, make sure you download the CrackWins app or go to crackwins.com. You've heard this man every episode now for this season, the season before. He is so full of wisdom. Be a part of that and get yourself in the win column by using the CrackWins app. It's on Google, it's on Apple, or you can just go to crackwins.com. Download it today. That's our show for today. Bill, we will be back next week for our big Super Bowl show, and I'm working on an incredible guest.
Ooh,
I'm not going to say any names, but let's see if we can bring it in.
I look forward to that. And as I always close, guys, great exacto, or in this case, a great parlay, WSN.com and the CrackWins app. Listen, this week, if you haven't got in ever, this is the week. I'm going to have upwards of a dozen props I'm going to be releasing. So get in on that because we definitely have a nice edge on that. And look forward to seeing you guys next week.
And to that point, I'll close with this. Last year, I don't remember the actual number. Adam Lieberman, my Action Junkies co-host, told me this once again, reminded me last night. Last year's Super Bowl props, what you sent me, you only got one wrong. I want to say 26 out of 27. It was something ridiculous. So
I think I just ran good with you. It wasn't that high. I didn't send 26 to nobody. But thank you anyway.
Okay.
Now, you may have bet that many because you're so crazy.
Maybe.
And you may have run like that. But I did have a large double-digit amount that I hit with you. Your list ran really good.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be in certain jurisdictions. It's so tough to give out all my plays because you have to be in certain jurisdictions to bet these things. Perfect example. All these kind of juicy props that I love to bet. Color of the hair, Gatorade color, what will the first song be at the Super Bowl? All these kind of things, they really aren't available in Las Vegas. However, if you have a FanDuel, DraftKings, PointsBet, one of those apps, they have those listed. So it's really foolish. I know a lot of these sports books here in Nevada are working on Nevada gaming and getting them to change their rules so they can allow bets on such things like that. And maybe the Academy Awards and the NFL draft bets. We need that stuff here in Las Vegas. I'm sure we'll have it before long, but I'm going to have that same good information. It's always good to know people that are in the know of what's going on in the stadium and for rehearsals and you know, try and follow what color the Gatorade is coming into the stadium. Hey, buddy, let me see that color, please. So we'll see what happens.
All right, looking forward to it, Crack. We will see you next week, everybody, on Wise Kracks.